Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our Britannica Back to School webinar today. My name is Luke Saunders, and I am Senior Business Development Manager here at Britannica Education.
And I'm Greg Fox, and I'm also the Senior Business Development Manager here at Britannica Education.
So like we said, today we have a fantastic webinar ready for you where we're going to introduce you to some of our digital resources that are currently being used by many other international schools across the Middle East. And we are delighted to have many attendees with us today from countries across the Middle East as well. So yes, we're going to get going. I know there will be people joining during the session, but there will be a recording which we can share with you after the call today. And on the call with us, who you will hear from shortly, is our two current customer schools, represented by two of the librarians as well. So they will be a part of this session later on in the webinar. Okay, so welcome to the webinar. As I said, we have an agenda in place today for our 45-minute session. We're just going to start with a brief introduction about who we are, not me and Greg. You've heard from us more about Britannica, who we are and what we do now. And then we're going to start the session with a Britannica School overview. So this is the digital content library that's being used by many international schools, US curriculum following, IB curriculum following, and also UK curriculum following schools, which again, I know we have representatives of on this call. We will then stop the demonstrations and have a little Q&A with our customer schools that have very kindly volunteered to spend some time with us today. We encourage at that point you to be a part of the Q&A. There is a little question and answer section on the Zoom call, and that is not limited to the Q&A part of the call itself. Feel free to pop up with any questions or comments. Starting from now, it'd be great to hear where you're calling in from today. And then we will finish the call with a bit of information about some new resources that we have that we believe can support your schools this academic year and in the future. So that is where my colleague Greg will come back into the conversation as well, talk you through our new and upcoming PD course that's also going to be live very soon. And we're going to share a bit of information about two other resources that we have, including our Expedition Learn platform, which you can get a lot more information about after today's webinar. So without further ado, we're going to start the session today talking about who we are. So many of you will recognize Britannica. It's a brand that, you know, many people around the world know of, and mainly they link us back to the encyclopedias. Quite fittingly today, you will see a date behind me, 1768, a date where we were founded, and 250 plus years later, we are still around. But we have moved on from the encyclopedias. We are now online. We now have a range of fantastic curriculum solutions that can support students of all ages, all abilities, and all nationalities, as well as supporting you as teachers and educators with conducting lessons and supporting students that require different needs. So the first resource we're going to look at today is Britannica School. So what is Britannica School? This is a platform that has been created again to support students with research, but not just at one level. We now have 4 different learning levels that are available to select in this platform, which means that in your international school, students will be able to learn and benefit from access at their own pace, independently, in the school, at home, and on any device. But instead of talking you through this presentation, I'm actually going to give you a brief live demo of just exactly what Britannica School is and how potentially you could use it in your classroom. So what you're seeing on your screen now is the homepage of our Britannica School platform. And as you can see, immediately we have the option to select between 4 different learning levels: early learning, foundation, intermediate, and advanced. And quite simply, as a student, you can go into whichever level you feel most appropriate for your age, but also your need when it comes to research and content difficulty. So I think it makes sense for us to start today in early learning. And as I go through this, again, feel free to ask any questions or leave any comments in the chat or Q&A, as we have colleagues in the background that can answer those for you. What makes us different from some of the resources you already have is probably a question that many of you are answering as we go through this presentation. But I think the most important one is that we are differentiated. We aren't assuming that every learner is at the same ability or requires the same needs. So in early learning, yes, we are there to support the lower ages of around 3 to 6. However, we are also there to encourage and build confidence of a student who is researching for maybe the first time. How do we do this? Well, as you can see on the screen in this level, there is a lot less text in comparison to some of the other levels, which you'll see shortly. And there is a lot more image content there to, again, engage the student and build that confidence in our safe and secure digital content library. So let's click into animals, where again, the student interface here will be supported by plenty of images where you can hover over and then receive the word or term relevant to the image itself. So let's now go into the reptile section. And hopefully we will be taken through to, again, an opportunity to select an individual animal within this habitat or animal group. So I'm going to select the word alligator, and what you will now see is just exactly how an article is presented at this level. Just like with the foundation elementary level, the content here is broken down almost like a book into sub-chapters, which again streamlines the research journey of the younger student and helps them to understand the content in front of them. But what you will notice here is that the sentence structure, the depth of content, and the complexity in reading level is very simple. Again, because we want the students to feel confident here and start researching for other topics once they get familiar with this fantastic and interactive layout and format. Some of the features we have here include a read aloud tool, which quite simply you can click on and Britannica will read the text aloud to you. In case it doesn't read out to you on the link, I'm just going to mention that what will happen in a moment is that when I play that button, the text below under alligators swim will be highlighted in yellow. So I'm just going to pause talking for a moment and play that for you. Now, as you would have seen there, we have a yellow highlight on the screen, which allows for students of different abilities to be a part of this journey. This has been included to support any SEN students, ESL students, or just your students that prefer to learn via an auditory approach. The second feature that we have, which I must insist is available at all levels for every topic, is the double-click dictionary, where again, I can click on a word and Britannica will give me a definition from our fantastic partner of many years, Merriam-Webster. But notice now how, as a student seeing this word for the first time, I can click on the play button and listen to how that word on its own sounds. So again, enhancing the English language skills of the students in your school who may be bilingual, or of course, in an international school setting, maybe most likely English second language. So that's a few features in the early elementary zone. If at any point you want to go back to the home page, you've just got to click on our logo, Britannica School at the top, and then you're taken through to the home page once more. In the foundation level, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I just want to show you once more how the actual page itself is now designed for a primary school age of 5 to 11. A bit more information, because now we're expecting the student to be a bit more confident and capable to search and find content. We have got teachers on the call today that are experts in different subjects. So I want you to be reassured But not only are we a safe and secure digital content library, updated on average every 20 minutes, we cover absolutely every topic. Whether you're a geography teacher, a science teacher, we won't forget about maths either. I'll show you an example soon. We are able to support you with articles, images, videos, academic journals that will be able to support your entire school community. But the difference here is that now we are encouraging the student to conduct a search. So let's say, for example, in earthquakes, we can do a search and Britannica will present to us a list of results, which again are age appropriate for that level. So let me click into the article on earthquake and just show you that the format again is quite similar to that of the early elementary zone, but the content and the complexity of course has increased because now we are working with a student in the primary school age. There is a Britannica toolbox in the corner that will actually point out a few of our great features, which again can increase interactivity and engagement. But a lot of these are, of course, self-explanatory, and I'll come back to. It's important for us to mention today that we're not just a digital content library. We can integrate into your existing systems. It doesn't matter how good a platform is, as I'm sure many of you educators have found. It's about how you can increase accessibility and integrate it in a way that makes it accessible for students at home, in the school, wherever they may be. So if you're using an LMS like Moodle, like Follett, like Schoology, or even Toddle, for example, which I know is an IB popular LMS, please do let us know, and there'll be a very strong chance we can work with you to integrate this into your existing setup. On top of that, I'm sure some of you who have been navigating and looking at the screen would have seen we have the Google and Microsoft icon there as well. The reason for this, as you've probably guessed, is because we can integrate with Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams. Again, making Britannica a great digital content library that can be accessed through your existing means of communication. Now, some of you may notice at the top here, I can change reading level now, because again, we are focused on differentiation and supporting different abilities. If your student of a primary school age requires content at a more difficult reading level, rather than going back, going into intermediate, searching again, they can click on reading level 2, where we will actually take them to that next level without, again, making them have to go through that laborious task of going to the homepage and searching for the word again. So again, we are facilitating and streamlining a really fun, engaging and easy to use research environment. As you can see here, the information depth has again increased, but there is still the opportunity to use our table of contents to dive into a certain area of interest within this public search. So this is a few of the features we've talked about so far: the read aloud tool, the double-click dictionary, integration with LMS, Google and Microsoft. But there is also other features here that can support the older students in the toolbox, including citation. So we are again equipped with an automatic citation tool where you can use the MLA, APA, Harvard or Chicago style, select your choice, and Britannica will do the reference for them. So again, a great way for you to encourage referencing and ensure that students are doing this, which again will be a part of their academic honesty policy as they grow up and go through the education system in the school and onto university level. We're now going to take a step back and go to the intermediate homepage once more, because I want to show you what actually appears when you do a search. So let me do a search now for a science topic. Again, apologies. I know there's a lot of people on the call today with different interests, but you can do this search for any term in any topic. So when you do get a chance, please do. But I'm going to search for solar system now and just show you a breakdown of the content that we actually have. So we've looked at articles, which is great. We've looked at differentiation, but I now want to point out that we have images and educational videos too. Where we've been able to adapt our content in an online platform is we've been able to make it a lot more engaging for different abilities and different type of learners. So as you can see here, I can click on any of these images, which are fantastic, rights cleared, and can also be downloaded offline as well as printed. We also have a side platform of ImageQuest to enhance the image content further. Now, one of the new features that we've recently launched and are in the process of going live with is content blocking. And again, this is really appropriate for today's call, with you all being members of international schools in the Middle East, as we understand that every culture and region has different rulings when it comes to content and what can and cannot be accessed. So while I'm sharing this screen of image content, I want to point out the option of selecting certain images and, more importantly, having admin rights within your school as a Britannica champion to block that content. This is something we're very excited about, and again, because of the time we have today, we can go through in more detail another time, but we wanted to make you aware that this is a new feature that we have, which we know will become very popular in the Middle East market, and again, felt relevant to share with you today as some exciting new features. And on that note, we are always evolving Britannica. We have a lot of content and we're always adding new features based on what the community feeds back to us. So any feedback at any time, whether it's after the call today, next week, or during a trial access, we welcome. I will go back to Britannica School now and just finish with a final bit of information for the advanced level. And that is where you can go to a My Britannica area and create your own personal account. So again, I'm going to do this very quickly, but it's very effective. You can make a personal account and start to save and create lesson packs. So I'm just going to log in with my demo account, which again, I've created in the past, and show you how that works. So let's say we're going to in terms of climate change, and we're conducting a lesson pack for our staff or colleagues because we're going to be away, or just for the students. All you would need to do at any time you like a resource is click on the star icon, and you will be able to select to add it to an existing pack, which in case here I already have, or make a brand new one from scratch. So now, rather than just being a research platform, we're a lot more engaging. We can be a lot more interactive. We can personalize learning, and we can apply Britannica School to our blended learning approach in the classroom across the school. So again, just to show you how that works, I can click on any star icon, and again, it will pop up and tell me if one, I saved it before, or two, I need to add a brand new pack. So in this case, I'm going to add it to the climate change grade 8 pack that I just very quickly made. When you go into your personal area under resource packs, you will be able to now see a long list of all of the resources that you've ever saved. But this is where, again, you as a teacher can add your own personal touch. And just before I pass over to my colleague Greg, who will involve our guest today, I just want to point out that this is a really nice feature, again, to make Britannica more personalised and engaging for you. So as you can see here, I've added a few notes to individual pieces of content. And if I'm happy with the pack, all I will then need to do is click share, copy that link, and that can be sent on WhatsApp, email, or in any method of communication so that your teachers and students can access direct content packs almost like a folder. So that is Britannica School and ImageQuest in a very quick overview. Like I said, we're now going to pass over to Greg and welcome our special guests today, who are members of 2 customer schools, and I will be back shortly.
Thank you very much, Lou. So I would like to welcome our 2 attendees today who are from customer schools. We have Alex and we have Mal as well. And on the screen right now, we just have some quotes from some customer schools. So I just wanted to share these with you, just so you can see some of the feedback that we have from other schools all around the world. And also, I'd like to use this opportunity for you to to think about some questions that you might want to put to our panelists, Alice and Mona. So I'm just going to go through these quotes slowly, just let you read the feedback. I could do that out. We've got Mona who's just joined us now as well. Great. So let's jump straight into this. I can see that we have Mona on camera. It's great to see you, Mona. Would you be able to give us a little overview about yourself, the school, and your general experience with Britannica? You know, how long you've used the resource for and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I'm currently at the American International School in Riyadh. We have about 1,500 students here, ranging from 3-year-olds all the way up to 18-year-olds. We are an IB school, so we do the IB program. Mm-hmm. We also do the American core curriculum, and we've had Britannica. I mean, I've only been here, this is my 2nd year, but if I ask staff members who have been here a long time, they say that we've had Britannica forever, so a long time. I personally also know Britannica from previous schools, and it is one of my go-to resources that I do recommend to teachers in all grades, in all subjects, because it is very cross-curriculum, and we do use it with students in down from 5 years old all the way up to the 18-year-olds, because it's very adaptable. It's also got everything for each subject. We find that it's great for students who don't speak English, because it will translate it into their first language, and that really helps them. It also has features like you can create your own account and save articles, so you can personalize it for yourself as well. So overall, as a school and even as a librarian, I've always recommended Britannica to anyone, all teachers.
Great, thank you for that. And well, first of all, it's great to hear that the results come so highly recommended from yourself, which is always what we want from our, from our customer schools. Now, Alice, would I be able to pose the same question to you? Just a little bit of an intro, if possible.
Hi, my name's Alice Antonsson. I worked as a school librarian in Sweden for many years, and I'm now at, I recently moved over to a school in China. I was the one who brought Britannica over to my previous school, and I thought it was such a good product that we're now, pretty much as soon as I started, I got a trial set up at my new school, and I'm hoping to bring it over, essentially, yeah.
Great, thank you for that. So, one of the main things I would like to pose as a question to both of you is what sort of challenges has Britannica and the resources helped you to overcome? So, Mona, if you'd like to go first, then you're welcome.
So like I said before, it really helps with students where they don't speak English as a first language, because they are the ones that do struggle then to find research, and the fact that they can have it and read it in their first language really helps them. And I also found it as a great tool to recommend to students as quality research. A lot of them will always go to Google and try and find things on Google, which obviously we know has its drawbacks, whereas Luke mentioned that Encyclopedia Britannica is constantly updated, it's verified, it's checked, so that we know that the content that's coming from it is good quality. So it's easy if the students are just using this, and they can do so much on it, they can do humanities down to maths, they can switch and change between subjects and age groups. But we found that it's overcome a lot of challenges for us.
If you have anything to share on that same subject, then please go ahead.
Sorry, can you just say that again? It's not great.
I was just to Alice, that's all, about the challenges and how the resources helped you to overcome them.
So I was finding that we had a lot of issues with students not using good sources of information, again, when they would just go straight onto Google. So Britannica allowed us to give them a starting point, and I would always recommend to students that they would do their first reading about a subject on Britannica so that when they had the good background knowledge, they could then go and find more specific facts if there was anything, any details that they needed that they hadn't been able to find on the database. But then, as they already had done the background reading, they should be able to recognize, or they should then get some red flags if there was anything they found online that wasn't matching what they had read or researched before. Because as Mona said, it was the content on Britannica is verified, it's trustworthy, it's reliable. So then anything that was contradicting what they had read there, they should then avoid that. And while I can try and teach students to think critically about sources of information they find online, that is very much a higher level skill. And it's fine for sort of high school students. Like once they get to 15 years and older, they can start to apply that. But for younger students, it was really necessary that they had somewhere to go to in order to start off with. And teachers really liked it as well. We also had the launch packs sort of add-on to Britannica, which was great because then either I myself or the subject teacher could prepare that sort of bundle of resources. So either articles they found on Britannica, they could then enhance that as well with things they found like their own presentations and so on. So it just made like a one-stop shop essentially for all the information they needed to pass on to their students. Yeah.
Perfect. So in terms of the impact, I'm sure that's a massive word in education at the moment. How do we show the impact of, resources, subscriptions, all these different things? Yeah. What would your answer be in terms of the noticeable impact that having a resource like this has been for your students in terms of their research and their, independent learning and that sort of thing? So again, Mona, please feel free to go ahead.
So for me, again, it's just the fact that we get better quality research out of them. I teach a research skills class to grade 6, and a lot of them come in thinking that if they put something into Google, that's absolutely correct. That
yeah.
Everything on Google is absolutely like 100% accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like debunking that myth and saying, no, it's not. Like, it's not the best resource that you can go to. And that trying to tell them that, we do have databases and things like that you can use, because they think of, if you mention the word database, like they assume that that's for the older students.
Yeah.
So the fact that like Encyclopedia Britannica can go across all ages and you can introduce it at such an early age is great. Like they can start learning about how to produce good quality research at a much younger age.
Perfect. And Alice, so in terms of the impact, has there been any measurables in either your previous school or your current school that you can tell from using Britannica?
Mm-hmm. So definitely I would back up what Mona was saying as well, like the quality in terms of the information that was appearing. There was a lot less pseudoscience and a lot less sort of false information appearing. Mm-hmm. Another noticeable impact was the quality of the citations as well, because of the citation tool that Britannica provides, because it's so easy for students to take the site, just copy and paste the citation over. Mm-hmm. They really prefer to use Britannica as a source instead, because they didn't have to think about, to start on a website, you might have to look who is the author, and it isn't always obvious who it is. What date is it published? They didn't have to sort of fish around for that information. So not only did Britannica make it very easy for them to make the citations, but we definitely saw an improvement in the quality of the citations as well, because Britannica does it perfectly. And a lot of these free citation tools online, you can get extensions and so on, they are often incorrect. So yeah, Britannica really helped with that as well.
Great. Thank you, both. So just kind of a few more questions just before we finish off. So we did have a question in the chat box about integration and LMS systems. Now, Alice, I know that you are fairly new with the subscription at your school, so I'm not sure whether you've had a chance to integrate into an LMS yet. But if either of you had, it'd be brilliant to share your feedback on how easy the resource is to access, how the students find the site, and all of that sort of thing. So, Mona, if you want to go first.
And we have it, we are a Google school, and we do have a link to it within when we access Google, there's a link that takes us directly through to Britannica, and if and the password and username is input for the students, so they just go directly into it. So that we do have that at the moment.
Great. And do you find that to be kind of quite a seamless transition for the students? Because one thing that we really pride ourselves on at Britannica is ease of access. You can have the best resource in the world, but if the students can't get to it easily, then it's pointless. So.
Yeah, no, definitely it is. It's very easy for them to access it.
Perfect, thank you. And Alice, same for you.
So our solution was that we had the IT department add a bookmark onto the bookmarks bar for the students. They were using Chromebooks, so Chrome was their default browser, and we just had that link right there at the top as it was a school computer. We kind of had that control over the students, like the appearance of their browsers. So it meant that they could just click right there, which was really helpful because sometimes when I said, okay, go on to Britannica, students would then Google Britannica, which would take them to the website, which then the content would be limited. So because we had the subscription into the database, we could access the full information. And it was just a case of all you needed to do was to remind students to use that link right there. But then once they were in, it was so easy to navigate and to access the features and find articles. I really like the fact it wasn't overcomplicated, which some databases are. Students are then stuck with almost like too many results and they have to really think about it. But Britannica just took you straight to the article, and then if students wanted to find extra resources like web pages, media, like they could just navigate to that. But yeah, the access was easy. My school had just changed over to Toddle. We didn't try integrating it into Toddle, but with the Chromebooks, it was probably easier just to have it that way.
Yeah, the bookmarking technique
as a bookmark, yeah.
Yeah, the bookmarking technique is an age-old technique, but it works, so why not? So, but just before we move on then, just want to put one more question to the two of you. If you could very quickly summarize maybe 2 or 3 favorite features of the resource, just in a sentence or two, if you had to say what your favorite tools were, what would they be, Mona?
Right. I find that it's so easy to use. Well, that's what we get a lot from the staff and the students, that it's the ease, that it's very user-friendly. So I'd say that it's user-friendly. The fact that it's cross-curriculum, and the fact that it's for all ages. That was what I would say would be great about Britannica.
Thank you.
So I really liked the launch packs, as you could add the articles from Britannica and then your own resources as well. So you would, and then from that you could export the link. So, and then with that link, you could just add that to the lesson plan, share, like especially if you need to do cover work, or just share it with the students again through the instructions for the lesson on Toddle. If you need resources, just go here. And then because Britannica was self-updating, or like wasn't self-updating, your team was updating it. You don't have to go through and keep checking like other websites that I found a year ago. Are they still live? Are they still active? It will be like, no, this, that the articles are good. And you could add like the PowerPoint presentation for your lesson into that launch pack, and any other, if you found websites, or if you or links to books. So I really like that feature.
Yeah, so the ability to take content from elsewhere and kind of add it into the Britannica platform, basically. Yeah, perfect. Okay, well, I think that pretty much brings us,
for the end.
yeah, I think that brings us pretty much to the end of the Q&A section. I know that we've only got about 10 minutes left, so I want to use this opportunity to say thank you to both Mona and Alice for sharing their, their thoughts and experiences with Britannica. And for those attendees who perhaps have a question, please feel free to pop it in the chat box, and we'll make sure that it gets through to Alice and Mona as well, and they can respond. So I'm going to hand back over to my colleague Luke, and then we are going to continue with the presentation.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you both very much. And hi, Mona. I know we met obviously in Riyadh in May, so it's good to connect again. But thank you both very much for your time with that. And yeah, glad to hear your thoughts on the platform. Okay, so moving on then into the kind of final 10 minutes of today's call, we have an opportunity to show you a brief introduction to two of our newer and upcoming resources that we are very excited about, starting with Britannica Expedition Learn. So as you've seen with Britannica School, it's a fantastic platform for research, lots of great features, as we've heard again from Mona and Alice. But one of the questions we were asked is, what about assessment? How can Britannica turn a new corner and give us some assessment opportunity to support students and actually track progress? So that is where I can now happily introduce to you the concept and the platform in Expedition Learn. This is a platform designed to support science and social studies. Quite similar, actually, Alice, to Launchpacks, but actually here we have the ability to report, track, compare, and support students when it comes to the science and social studies curriculum. So rather than going through the platform, which has a lot of great features and a lot to it, I'm going to give you a little preview via a video today. But again, there will be an opportunity in a form at the end in the chat box by my colleague to let us know if you'd like a bit more information about this resource, which again, we will happily connect with you and your school at a later date. So I'm now going to play this video and just allow that to go in the background. Okay, so what you were able to see there is just a short preview of Britannica Expedition Learn. For any of you wondering where the sound was, don't worry too much because there was no voiceover. We just wanted to give you a nice snippet of some of the key features. And again, what that very short video hopefully showed you is how you can pull pre-made lesson packs from grades 3 to 8 across a whole range of science and social studies related topics, assign them to groups in a virtual setting at different levels, and more importantly, track progress and reporting. And we will share that video with you after the call because I'm sure your social studies and science departments will be the champions behind Britannica Expedition Learn. And we'd be happy to set you up again with another meeting with the department, any trial, or provide any additional information. So coming into the final 5 minutes of the meeting, I'm going to pass back over to Greg now. And I think, again, a really exciting initiative that we're working on and launching very soon is our critical media literacy professional development course. So I'll pass back over to Greg.
So yeah, as Luke said, we are in the process of developing a brand new professional development course. We have seen a need across all the markets that we work in. You know, we supply these fantastic educational resources that are brilliant for teachers and even better for students. However, we have seen a gap in that teachers need that support as well, which is why we have developed this critical media literacy course, which is a 3-hour online self-paced piece of professional development. If I just go through to the next slide. So this gives you a little bit of information about the course, and what we've done is we've been working with experts to bring this brand new offer, and it's coming really soon, later this autumn. And the idea is that in today's kind of fast-paced digital world, equipping secondary school learners with digital media literacy skills has become more crucial than ever. And of course, this micro-learning training course that we are suggesting has been carefully designed to deepen and extend your pedagogical knowledge and understanding of how best to use good teaching practices alongside the Britannica resources. So as you can see just here, it will be fully certified. It will give secondary school learners the skills they need to kind of interact and use digital media in their work. And it's been carefully designed, like I said, to deepen and extend pedagogical knowledge. So this gives you a little overview as to kind of what you would get out of the course. So it would involve lots of stimulating professional development tasks, all kind of surround the idea of diving into thought-provoking tasks and how you can share those with your students to get more out of them. It will also take the teachers through how to use high-quality education resources. So this will be things like using Britannica's images, using Britannica's videos, or multimedia content, and how best to use that in lessons. Again, we're going to have informative knowledge checks and end of module quizzes, and finally some insightful teaching tips for the classroom as well. So as I said, this is brand new. We're hoping to launch in the next few weeks, but hopefully this was going to be something that all of our customer schools can kind of get behind, because it goes hand in hand so well with the Britannica School subscription. So that brings us to the end of our webinar today. If there is anything that we have discussed that you would like more information on, please feel free to get in touch. And I believe that there will be a survey at the end as well. If you would take the time to fill that in, then we would really appreciate it.
Yeah, so just to second that, thanks again on behalf of myself and Greg. Again, we'd like to thank our special guests, Mona and Alice, for taking some time out of their day. I know that there's busy schedules at this time of the academic year. And on that note, we'd like to thank you, the attendees, for your time as well. As Greg said, we're happy to answer any questions off the back of today's webinar. And if you want to fill in the survey about any more information for any of the resources, an existing subscription, or anything else, we'll be happy to help. So thank you all very much on behalf of Britannica, and we look forward to hearing from you very, very soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.